But there would be some households that I would deliver to, right? They don't even want to open the door all the way. It's like you see their eye through the crack of the door. And I'm thinking, I ain't gonna lie, these were the black households. I ain't gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. They were. Now I'm being straight. I'm not saying they're all like that. I'm not saying they're all like that. But that was my experience. But I'm only mentioning this because you touched on the Jewish. Because these guys, they are on point. They're on point with their manners. On point with teaching their family a blueprint of success.
Yeah.
A blueprint of financial success, relationship success, parenting success. I mean, yo, teach me. I want to sit down and absorb some stuff. But let's talk about black community in terms of that. And that, to be honest, this is a myriad of conversations we can have. It's a lot.
I want to say something here about just the insults that we impose on other races or other cultures because of I don't do it personally, but it's the ignorance. Okay, just an example. Many of us have been in pound shop. I'm going to say this. And the majority of the workers in the pound shop are Asian. Now, I find that they do work hard. We know this. They work very hard. And many a times I've heard people insult, let's say, for example, the smell, the strong odor of somebody who's been lifting a lot of stuff. And
body odor, yeah.
And packing. And it's not easy. And I find that when I hear somebody insult someone who is working that hard, because I've seen a man carrying the stuff and he's going from one place to another, and he was smelling very strong. And one of the black children were like, "Oh, he stinks," and they were saying it loud. And then the others started to mock and continue. I couldn't hold my mouth.
It started with one person. Remember,
this is it.
In the club, that one person.
Yeah.
It triggers off everyone else.
That's right. They set the trend. They set the pace. So no one said anything till this one person said it, and then it domino effect. So I can't help myself. I really can't. I said, hold up. Wait a minute. If you don't smell of sweat, you haven't been working. You have definitely chosen to pick on what you feel is a weak fence. But I can guarantee you don't even know what he's got at home or what he's got outside.
Yeah.
This guy's probably driving a car you may never drive in your life. So don't look at somebody for how they're presenting themselves, especially when it comes to a job.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what I did was I spoke to them and I said, we're not going to compare who's going to have what in life, but that's very insulting.
Yeah.
And what you could have done is, because we're in the pound shop, there's obviously sprays and stuff. If it was a situation where you could just say, "Oh, excuse me, I know you're working very hard, but just spray up a little bit because it's really strong." Simple. You didn't have to go there.
There's a lot of people that won't have the courage to say that.
There you go. You've got the courage to diss someone.
Yeah.
But
you don't have the courage to do the positive.
Yes, to help.
But you're so
them.
quick to do the negative.
That's what I'm coming to. So after I spoke to them, they actually went to the guy and apologized.
Good.
I said, I'm very sorry for my bad mannerism. It was off of me and my friends. We're sorry. They apologized. And I find that's not just a pound shop issue. Just an example. I go to a club and there's a girl who's maybe something's wrong. And I will look at her and say, "Oh, fix this," or "Come, give me that," and I'll help her, sort herself out a bit. We don't do enough of that, fixing each other. We're too quick to look and just be like, "It's not my problem." And that's what happens with crime nowadays.
Yeah.
When we sit there and we're quick to take the video out to say, "I'm the one that got the footage." It's the same thing. When you're insulting someone or when you're looking at somebody who's not completely okay. I see a woman with a baby that's crying. The baby doesn't stop crying. They don't know what else to do. She's tired. She's had enough. Honestly, I know that's not my child, but I tend to say, "Would you like me to try and help you get the baby to settle?" you know, or I might just say, I know you're tired. Would you like me to hold the baby for a few minutes?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll stop what I'm doing. Because you are forgetting. If the noise is affecting you and it's bothering you, the solution is in your hands too. It's not just her hands.
Yeah.
She hasn't slept all night. You may be a stranger, but each one teach one, each one take care of one.
Mm-hmm.
She maybe does not know what else she can do, because we all have different methods we can teach one another
Yeah.
in our growth. So I do find that with the education thing, we need to form our own forms of educating our children on the things that they will never learn at school.
Oh, and trust me, guys, I'm working on that. Like, I've got some home study courses that I'm currently developing, and this is information that the young people will not get in school. I'm talking, you know, what is the mind? How can we stay focused? What are universal laws? What is your purpose? How can we discover what your purpose is? All these types of things that we really should know from a primary school stage, we were never given from then up until university. How many university graduates are unemployed with dead dreams, and they've resorted to a job that they don't necessarily like because deep down they resent the system, they resent their parents, they resent life because it has lied to them their whole life. Literally. And homeschooling is the way. It's definitely the way. It's statistically proven that more parents now are resorting to homeschooling. But I will definitely say this. At Young A-listers, this is what I'm about. I'm about the homeschooling. I'm about, let's sort out these digital courses and plan them in a way where your child knows who they are, where they're going, their mental faculties that they have. I'm talking their willpower. I'm talking their perception, which is what is controlling reality in the first place. I'm talking about their memory. I mean, even improving your memory. I mean, I do memory training in my school. Literally, memory training. It is absolutely phenomenal. You should see the children after they've done some of the memory training classes. They're like, oh my goodness. Because we're not utilizing our imagination on how to memorize things. All we've been taught is an English language where we have stringed words together, but our mind, our brain doesn't think in words. It thinks in pictures.
Yeah.
So when you was in school, you're thinking of a picture of a cat, and your teacher will say to you, C-A-T, cat, at, you will pronounce it. Oh, yeah, that's a cat. I know what it is. If you want me to get deep now, I can easily say to you, who says that's what it is? Someone gave you a label of what that thing is. And I feel that we are caught too much in labels and descriptions. We are too busy describing things rather than defining things in terms of its depth, in terms of the foundation, in terms of a substance. We've become too superficial as people with what we are teaching. I've always said to this when I've been interviewed or I've been on panels, right? Learning about Henry VIII hasn't helped me today. I don't care how many wives the man had. Did we really need to know that information? No, we didn't. I would rather learn about my mind, how to think, because we ain't been taught how to think. We've been taught what to think by the information they give you. They've told you, this is what we want you to learn. Education has been summed up as learn what's in the book, memorize what's in the book, repeat what's in the book, and we will give you a shiny piece of paper that says, congratulations, you're an educated person. Now you're in the system, go and get a job. But there's no guarantee you're going to get that job because, oh, there's competition. But that's a different subject for a different day. I'm only talking about this briefly because of what Angel had said in terms of education, and I was basically talking about why homeschooling is the way to go, but not just any homeschooling. If you want to know some serious if you want your child to actually succeed and know who they are, I would say go on to youngalisters.com. Contact me because I'm developing some serious concepts for some homeschooling courses that your child can do. There it is.
And I know what it is with parents, the fear, because a lot of parents haven't actually learned enough for themselves. So they are afraid because they feel, how will I teach my child if I am not educated myself? Because many parents aren't educated. So I always say, if you have a child, they start from school age. If you're illiterate, you have a child who is growing, grow with them. If they're just learning little things, when they come home with their work, learn with them.
Grow with them.
You do not have to show them that you're not as good as them, but be good with them.
Yeah.
So you sit together and you will learn how to write, you will learn how to read if you do it together. Just the same way how you learn to, like hide yourself around the society that you're living in, doing things, counting money and stuff. You know how to do all those things, and nobody knows you can't read because you learn how to blend and pretend. So I always say, learn with your child.
Yeah.
You will get there.
Yeah.
I've had to point that out with a few people before who, okay, the only way I knew they couldn't read was I'd say, oh, what does that say on the sky? Because my eyesight was playing up as it does. And they're like, oh, do you know what? I'm coming back. There was always a diversion. I'm thinking, why is it that they never tell me what's on? I'm only asking what's on the itinerary, on the sky or whatever.
Yeah.
That's when I realized, oh, so you can't read. And I said, listen, I've noticed that every time I ask you, you can't tell me.
Yeah.
Are you sure you can read? The truth comes out, okay, I own a business, I'm good at calculating certain things like maths, I'm good at maths, I'm good at measurements and stuff. I do building, I'm good with my hands, but I can't read. So sometimes I ask my children to read for me. So I'll bring the stuff home. When I have a text message, I send it to my son sends me a voice note. I said, oh. And then I had to tell them the same thing. Learn with the younger child. And now they read. And now they write. So these are the simple little ways of getting yourself up there to gain the confidence in order to be able to do those things. Because, I mean, we have people who've lived all their lives like that. But the fear is only within themselves as parents that if I make the wrong decision, I send my child to somebody else to homeschool them and they don't get the education that I've sent them for. I'm at fault because I made that big decision. But what you have to do is start looking into these things to see how it works for you to be able to be confident enough to work it out for yourself, to take a child that way. Because I find that parents find it easier to throw their child into like sports, not even sure if their child is good at it. Oh, Kung Fu. I'm going to send you for Kung Fu. Your child is not even good at coordination in order to even use the skills that he's being taught. But you'll rather waste the money paying for those sessions.
Yeah.
Than you would.
And
to send
it just comes down. It just comes down to ignorance. And I don't mean ignorance as in you're stupid.
No.
I mean ignorance in a sense of you want to choose the path of least resistance where you don't want to make an effort. It's more of a thing where you'll throw them into something just to test to see if it's going to work. But what you really want to be doing is observing the child. See what they're doing. Are they dancing in their room? Are they singing in their room? That will give you a good indication what they're into. Rather than throwing the singing person into karate classes and you're paying X amount of money per week or whatever in a karate class. How about getting them to develop their singing or getting them to develop their dancing? Do you see what I'm saying? So at the end, the bottom line, it's all ignorance. It's the path of least resistance, throwing children into something that kind of is like gets you as a parent off the hook. It's like, okay, cool. Now I can do what I want to do,
Yeah.
get my child out the way
From-
here, someone else deal with them. What you're really saying is, someone else please raise my child because I don't know what I'm doing. And I know that's going to hurt a lot of people's feelings, me saying that, but no long ting.
That's true.
You got to talk the things, like be straight up. You I get it. You're tired. And with respect, with not all parents, but some parents, you never planned for your children in the first place. I'm going to touch on a few nerves now. You never planned on them. So it's kind of like, right, I need to kind of just cope with the children. They're here. And then in a way, it's kind of like, right, I need to now put my life on hold, which is an excuse, by the way. I'm fed up with parents basically saying they can't do their dreams, this, that, and the other, because, oh, well, you know, I've got children now, all my time is based on them. I know many mumpreneurs that are doing things for their children, you know, and they're doing amazing things, and they involve their children with what they do, which touches on what Angel was basically saying earlier in terms of involving the children, learning with them, you know. Like, fair enough, all right, there may be some parents who are illiterate and they might not be able to read or whatever. But you can play the memory game. You can, if you was to go on the Young A-Listers website, right, go on the free educational videos tab. There is a video of me teaching some tweens, which are like 8 to 12 years old. There's a group of them there. How to use their memory in terms of basic association and pegging information to that basic association. So let me break that down very quickly because that kind of just went over some people's heads. So let's say you've got the numbers 1 to 20, right? I now have a basic association of 1 to 20. For example, number 1 represents the sun. There's one sun. Number 2 represents socks. There's a pair of socks. Number 3 represents traffic lights because there's 3 colors in the traffic lights. Number 4 represents car because there's 4 wheels on a car. Number 5 represents glove because there's 5 fingers on a glove. Do you see where I'm going with this? And then you peg information onto the picture. This is where we're utilizing our imagination now. We're not using words. We're using our imagination. Because when we think in pictures, we're talking long-term memory. Many of us have been programmed and conditioned to think long-term memory of stuff that bothers us, trauma, things that cause us pain, bad experiences. But we have not taught ourselves to utilize our imagination because they don't teach this in the school system. Yeah? Homeschooling. Right? So this is what I teach at Young A-Listers. And this is free on the website. You can go and look at it. And guess what? It's fun to do as a family. Switch off your EastEnders, Coronation Street and all of that stuff. And give yourself some time with your children to just learn how... Just improve your memory. It's going to help you. It's going to help your child. And guess what? When you improve your memory, you learn faster. You collapse time frames because you can recall things a lot more easily. You're less likely to rely on technology to give you information. Why? Because I remember what God gave me. And there it is. You're going to need... Why is that not plugged in? It's dead. Use this. Yeah, Angel, you can take over. Go on.
Yeah, so even on that note, I think you see what we're saying about this generation of parents finding it easier to teach their children by handing them over with, for example, oh, take my phone or take the iPad. From the age of 1, a child's got the iPad on their lap scrolling, you know? And what I think is, scroll, yes, let the child watch a few things, but there has to be a time limit and a limit on everything. There has to be a cap on everything. To those parents in the field of childcare, for example, or let's say you're good with children, here's a tip of what I did. I had my child and he was premature and I was turning 19. So at the time my husband said to me, I'll help you. Yeah, he was in his own job, but he said, I'll help you start what you want to do. I said, you know what? At that point I was doing music. So I was in the studio quite a bit and I was going to the hospital back and forth, feeding this, that and the other, and a wife, all sorts. But I continued with what I was doing and he was very attentive. So after a while now, I got this record deal. And they said to me, you have to go into the house with a few girls. And if you do that, we'll give you a certain amount, quite a large amount of money. And I said, my child? Nah, the career? It was hard, but I said, no. He's too small. He's battling for his life right now. So I said to myself, what will I do in the meantime? Because this was what I was working towards. And it came when he was in hospital. So my decision was reinvent myself. What else can I do that I would love doing and I can still have my child? That child of mine, in my leisure time, and thank God for my husband because he's very supportive, he'd be in a car seat, swinging, rocking his little car seat himself. 6 months, he'd be going like this, dancing whilst I'm singing. So he'd be dancing to what I'm singing. But most of all, what I decided was, once he was big enough for me to be able to put him down and he could sit up, I started doing childcare so that I could raise my child, so that he was with me. And at the same time, he got the interaction with other children whilst I would teach them. So I had age between 0 to 8. And I would have like 6 children. And I started to do different times and different ages. So those who I take for school run in the morning, my child and I would get ready in the morning. We'd take those little ones to school. School was just down the road. Come back again and then have the next lot. My child learned from a young age how to interact with other children very well, how to share. And he learned things that he would have never learned in school, because if you're in school and you're in nursery, you wouldn't be with an 8-year-old for so many hours of the day.
No.
So he learned what 8-year-olds were doing when he was about 1, 2, which was the development skills. Same thing with like the next one. I did the same thing. I also went to learn, like when I saw certain things were not being taught in his school, I went to work at his school so that I can bring them in. Okay, this is what I can bring to the table. So I just find that as parents, when you're trying to find yourself, sometimes it's good to actually use that time that you're not doing anything, or you're not doing what you maybe would have been doing, to do something along the lines of raising your children and also learning a few things for yourself, because I learned a lot of things from that. I would have been naive about what other children actually know because of what I teach mine. So imagine I'm teaching my child the straight and narrow, and the next child is very advanced in sexual activities. I would never believe that a child that age would know that, because I'm naive, because I'm only teaching mine the one thing. So you need to learn from other children, including your own, as well as teaching and curving. So whenever you can get the opportunity, try and dip into other children also. So go for a few functions. Like I said, when there's like festivals and stuff, try and be that parent that sometimes take on other children. We have carpools in America. Those parents who take those children out in the car to go soccer or whatever, they get to speak to the other children and learn something from what they don't know. Because remember, children, when they get comfortable, they talk, and when they speak, you hear a lot of what you'd never hear, because remember, as they come through the door, they act as your child. They act. They pretend. They put on the mask as they walk through the door. For you to really know what's going on, you need to sometimes put on your mask and play the game and go out there and dig into the outside world. Because a lot of parents are living in that bubble. Have you noticed, like, some parents take the role of, oh, he did what? We're going to the school right now. and they're ready to go fight the other
Oh,
parents.
let's
think
now
their
act as
children
the
are certain
parent.
things. Yeah, because they think their children are a certain
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
I always say to my child, if my child says to me, "Oh, this has happened to me," it's okay. What did you do? Because I know you got a mouthful, so you probably said something that triggered it off. It's like, well, I did say that, you know. Well, he said something, but what I said was a good comeback, so it hurt him. Right. What did I tell you about these comebacks? You need to hold back a little bit because one day you're going to get a black eye. So I'm realistic. No, we're not going to fight the other parent. We're going to fix maybe what you need to curve a little bit in order to be able to deal with other people better. You know, what stops me from fighting out there? It's the way I deal with people. It's the way I handle myself. It's the way I diffuse bombs rather than what? Let them go off. So there's so many different areas as parents where we can tune ourselves better. I said I want to have a show whereby the children come, sit down, and tell us how they feel about us as parents. What they feel we could do differently, what they feel we should do better, what they feel about us as the parents that are old school with our old school behavior, old school mentality, They need a voice. And I think, like you were saying before, parental consent. If those children can come and sit here and speak their mind, we need to hear. Because I'm telling you, what we're going to hear from them is going to be something we never expected. Some of you have children who are being touched, etc., because you do not open your eyes to the reality that at a certain age or from a certain age, there's certain things they've been taught out there in that school that you would have never taught them.
Yeah.
So we need to get to the bottom of it. Because like I said, they're coming home and they're going straight into the mask or into the shell.
Yeah.
So I think that,
and that's true, because I did it. Went into the shell. Didn't want to share certain information because I felt embarrassed. You know, I felt like, ooh, I'd be judged or I'd get into trouble if I shared certain information. So guess what? I kept it to myself. And what I've learned over the years, by keeping it to myself, it only made it worse for myself. And then I started hating myself for it. And I started hating my parents. So this is deep, guys. I mean, we've gone on a long time, like, just talking about all this stuff. But it is a massive topic. And I just want to touch on one thing with the whole... you mentioned about the young children around the 8-year-olds or whatever. Something like that. Just to drop a bit of science on everyone out there. When your child when the lady is in their last trimester of pregnancy, up until the child is 7 years old, their brain wave state is in a theta state. What do I mean by that? Their brain waves is slower than us as we are right now. You watching this, we're in beta waves. So the frequencies, how our brain actually operates, we are actually tuning in with frequencies. This is why children absorb so much at such a young age, because for the first 7 years, they are literally in hypnosis mode with their brain waves. They're in them theta wave states and they are in hypnosis mode. So yeah, they are literally just absorbing the environment, everything that's going on, whether it's good and whether it's bad. There's a saying, give me a child until it's 7, I'll show you the man. Because from birth to the age of 7 is pretty much the foundation of what that child is going to be, their beliefs, their values, how they're going to treat other people. It all stems from those subconscious programs, right? Now, I understand there will be people watching this that might not know what the hell I've just said. That is completely fine, because that will be something completely different that will be discussed later. And, you know, I'll have a flip chart here and I will be breaking stuff down. because this isn't just about us saying things. I see this as teaching people,
Yeah.
helping them and showing them, hey, I've learned this. This is what's helped me. Did you know this? Oh, you didn't? Let me show you this. Don't accept what I say. Don't reject what I say. Don't neglect what I say. But just observe what I'm saying. Do your own research.
Yeah.
Because you would be a fool to just accept what anyone says. And you would be surprised how many people just accept whatever is put in front of them. And look at our society today.
Yeah. Because, I mean, you see what we're saying? We're being destroyed by the system. So if we're being destroyed by the system because of the, let's say, disciplinary acts and all the laws around what we can and can't do even with ourselves. So, for example, as a driver, yeah, you have your car. I've never hired a car or HP'd a car. I've always said if I can't afford it, I don't have it. But I've always had a car, so I buy it. And even though I bought my car, I'm still not free to do what I want with my car. I want to put hydraulics. I want to do this. I want to tint it blacker than it is. I can't do those things because the law changes every time. Oh, if you have it too dark, you have to remove it. So you can't even use your own money to say, okay, I want to tint it so it looks like this because I want the limo effect, for example.